There's a saying, I just heard it in an audiobook that I was listening to, that goes, when money meets experience, the experience gets the money, and the money gets the experience. Good morning and welcome to In the Car with Clint. I am currently driving through Lionsgate, which is the old Holden factory for those South Australians watching. We're here because one of our customers, Epicurean Foods, owes me $60,000 and they haven't paid. And so we went through the process of winding them up, which is an interesting process. And this video is more about, I guess, educating everyone on my learnings from this more than anything else. So we obviously have credit account application forms, and we use professional companies to prepare those documents. There's a guy walking right in front of my car. So we've used credit control companies to do that. We actually have lawyers now peer reviewing the documents to make sure that there's no holes in them. We're starting to deal with bigger numbers all the time, and then obviously recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've had 2 debts now totaling $140,000 that are both currently going through the process. And the process is such a load of shit, right? It's so protective of the person that's going broke. And so I guess my first point is that the burden of protection for your money is on you. So, I talk about business being like UFC, and it's like, at the start of a UFC fight, they'll be like, protect yourself at all times. It's exactly the same. No one cares about you. Everyone's kind of fighting for themselves, and it's your responsibility to protect yourself. So what we've got in place, I'll talk about what we've got in place and then what we should have had in place. So what we've got in place is we have a customer credit application form signed, and then they'll put down like a credit limit that they're looking for. So it might be $10,000, it might be $50,000, it might be $500,000. And so they put that credit limit down, and then we go through the process of doing Vita checks, which is the credit platform that we use to check their credit rating. It's really hard to do credit checks, like as in reference checks, because usually you're going to get 3 good references, and if you ring like now, like Bunnings, Kennards, big corporates, they just won't give credit references. And I don't know why. I have a feeling it's probably because of like some risk that if they give a bad reference, that there's a risk of them getting sued for slander or fucking something, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, so we had that in place. We'd done the form, we'd had it signed, we had a director's guarantee. So the director of this company, I would say that the guy's integrity is such that the pen that he used to sign the director's guarantee was probably a stolen pen. And, we didn't know, and you don't know what you don't know. And this whole journey is about me learning along the way. And so what we were told is that we should have got a personal Vita done against the director. So when you get a director's guarantee, you should get that done. And I didn't know that. And, I'm not ashamed to admit that here. I'm still learning. And, you enter into business expecting that everyone has the same morals and values as you, and then you slowly learn that they don't. And the quicker you learn, the less money it may cost you. So we should have done that, and if we had done that, we would have found that that director was in fact, at the time of signing that guarantee, bankrupt himself. And so, as in all the things in our business, my business, everything is my fault, right? Like, that's my fault. I fucked up. I should have known to do that. In the speed of moving forward fast, we don't, always cross the T's and dot the I's. I'm never going to stop acting like that because it makes us slow. But now we've learned. So now we're going to have that rolled into our account application forms. So the next piece of the puzzle is we have a PPSR, which is a personal property security register. And so we become a secured creditor against the money that the debtor owes, or parts. So you can do that against a part. So an example for that might be where, an example I heard was a horse was lent to a stud to impregnate a lady horse. I don't know the terms. And the stud went bankrupt during that adjustment, or the horse being there. And because that client didn't have a PPSR against the horse became part of the total amount of stuff that got sold, and then they got cents in the dollar for the value of their horse. So the PPSR was a mechanism that the government put in place to help protect companies like me from losing their stuff. And as with all legislation, there's what the intention of the legislation is, and then there's the reality of what happens when the legislation gets tested. And so what we're now doing is we're at this location, which is the location that the business is based at, and we've come here to act on our PPSR. So we get to come and take back any stock that we have supplied to the client that they haven't paid for. Well, this gets back to the start of the title. When experience meets money, I have to shout out to Alex Hormozy for this one. I was listening to his book this morning, and this is the saying that he said: when experience meets money and money meets experience, the experience gets the money and the money gets the experience. So I just got some experience. So they were very prepared for us to come and take back our stock. Obviously, the person that runs Epicurean Foods, Ken King, has done this before. He knows what he's doing. It frustrates me no end that there's no criminal recourse for this, and I'll talk about that in a sec. But we've rocked up to pick up what we would have hoped to take, which is our pumps. We've got misting systems here, we've got blue lime, we've got electrofusion fittings. There was an electrofusion welder, which is a portable device. So we've gone to get all our stuff, and they've just laid it all outside, and there's like 50 lengths of pipe and some fittings, which is bullshit because there's $60,000 tied up here. Because the business is now under the liquidators or the administrators, nothing can be removed. So if something's been physically installed, it can't be touched, because they might sell the business for cents in the dollar to someone and then we get a dividend. It's really quite shit. The other side of it is that anything that's been potentially like sold for cash or taken, and you know, like if the I don't even want to call him a director, the person who is acting as the director of this business was able to go sell some shit for cash on the side, or do some eBay, or even transfer it into another company. So that we found that the building's actually leased by a different business, so we can't enter it. If he was to then transfer that into another company, there's no fraud charges. And what my lawyers are telling me is it's really, really hard to prove anything like that. So the law really quite heavily, I don't want to say it protects the person that's going broke, but it definitely doesn't pursue them for the wrongdoings. And so the moral of all of this, as I said kind of halfway through the video, is the responsibility to protect yourself is on you. You know, this is a lesson that's probably going to cost me $50,000 or $60,000. So let it not cost you anything. So these are the rules. I'm going to kind of try and remember them as I'm talking. 1, make sure you have customer credit application forms that have been prepared professionally by lawyers and are regularly updated to ensure that they meet the current legislation. 2, always get a director's guarantee, and if you do have a director's guarantee, also check the liquidity or the current bankruptcy status of that director by using a service such as Vida. 3, only give the client a credit limit that you believe you can comfortably lose if everything was to go bad. Right now, again, we lost that $76,000. We haven't lost it yet. I'm going to go after that pretty hard. We got a personal guarantee on that one, and I will not stop suing until I get what I'm owed. But the reality is, if we lose the 76 and I lose this 60, I've pretty much, you know, the business is still trading. I'm still meeting my obligations, and so the 60 is not going to kill us. If it was 6 million, we'd be having a different conversation. So 3 was always make sure that you're only providing a credit limit that is such that you can handle it. 4, both of these clients, the last one, which was Greenplay, and this one, which is Epicurean Foods, both of these clients started displaying shopping habits that were irrational and excessive. And a calmer Clint and a less busy Water Pro probably would have identified their buying patterns earlier and said, this doesn't feel right. You know, they seem to be buying a lot more stuff than they need. They're not that concerned about the price. You know, and not everyone is. We've got relationships with people that aren't price driven, but they're long-term relationships. So for a new client to come in and be like, it doesn't matter what it costs, we just need it now, you need to keep your eye out for those red flags. And it doesn't mean you have to act on those red flags. It just means you need to start asking some more questions and maybe do some more investigation. So those are the 4 things that we should have done better here. We've done 2 of them well. So we had the account form signed and we had the PPSR registered. That's protected us to the value of whatever we've just picked up, which is probably, I don't know, $1,000. But it doesn't get us back all the other stuff. So if we had all of those in place, I would strongly suggest that we would not have entered into a business arrangement with this client. We probably would have been smarter about, if we had, we would have been smarter about how we engaged with them. So we would have made sure that that the client maybe paid up front for their stuff rather than giving them an account. And the fuck thing is, like, and this is another sign of how, like, the media doesn't help. They had the Premier down there cutting ribbons and opening it, and you kind of look at it and go, oh, if the state government are aligned, like, I genuinely thought the state government were somehow supporting it or they were aligned with it, but no. So today we got probably about what I expected. I don't believe this guy is a professional scumbag, and he will completely, like, milk the shit out of this, and we're all going to get stuck with our dick in our hands, for lack of a better term. So I don't imagine I'm going to get much more, if any, money from this. So really it's just an expensive learning curve. And I was talking to the lawyer the other day and saying, you know, obviously the process of winding someone up, something I hadn't done before, and it's really just the last chapter in my off the books small business MBA that I've been paying for the last 15 years. Turns out the last module costs about $60,000. So anyway, I hope that helps some of you out there who are starting to enter into bigger numbers. Trust your gut and use the mechanisms in place to the best of your ability. And remember, the one piece of advice my father taught me about business, actually there's 2, but there's only one that I'm going to share with you. A sale is not a sale until it is paid for. Shout out to Gordon Adams. Anyway, that is it for today. Sorry it went for so long, but I thought it was valuable to share. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to each other. Most importantly, be kind to yourself. I'll talk to you tomorrow.